Now you quote from Paul of the New Testament when you say, "For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty in God for pulling down strongholds, casting down arguments, and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, bringing every thought into captivity to obedience of Christ." Now I sort of see what you mean by this, as you've already have begun to explain that all these things that the religions once were able to do to people are no longer valid. They are checked. They are balanced.
Well, actually, there is something I'd like them to know. I'd like them to know that jihad, according to Jehovah's jihad, a holy jihad, is the solution to the flesh and blood violence today.
Oh, okay.
The flesh and blood expressions are the only problem with jihad. The confrontation or the conflict that arises through disputation, dialogue, debate, and through publication are not the problem. They're the solution. And with the freedom to publish, to broadcast, to herald, to proclaim, and those freedoms, the truth is people just aren't willing to exercise the freedoms we have to persuade their fellow men. And today, of all days, such as the sermon, as I was saying earlier, that proclamation is the precursor to all that we now know today.
Okay.
And it is what has rubbed, if you will, and worn down all the flesh and blood outbreaks, such as a Holocaust. That will not occur under Jehovah's Jihad. An Inquisition will not occur under Jehovah's Jihad. Witch hunts don't occur under Jehovah's Jihad. Taking away inalienable rights does not occur under Jehovah's Jihad. For example, in our country, our government's not only of, for, and by the people, but is subject to be abolished by the people.
Okay.
Now, that abolishment is not a flesh and blood coup attempt to overthrow our government. It's through legislative, through executive, and through judicial processes. And we all have access to it. Now, as people pull away from it, thinking that the only thing we can do now is outbreaks of violence, riots in streets of Los Angeles, or the explosion or bombings of abortion clinics, or the bombing of trade towers, whether it be through conspiratorial designs, as all the theories today constantly just fatigue us mentally. The reality is that pushing the front line of intellectualism, dialogue, education, discussion is what's established these rights, and it's what will sustain and protect them in the future.
Wow.
There will be no advancement of God's kingdom in that sense, where people can know the freedom to follow their own gods, and we have the responsibility to follow our God, Jehovah, without the persistence that jihad is dispositional, it's spiritual. As Paul said, when he was Saul of Tarsus, he was a terrorist. He was a homeland terrorist who went about arresting people, coercing them, and even killing them. So he was flesh and blood jihadi prior to his conversion. Now, his conversion did not radicalize him. It tranquilized him, as you'll notice in the sermon. There is no such thing as Jehovah's Jihad that radicalizes citizens to go out and take up a flesh and blood campaign against them. That's why we have the right to grievances against our government, petitions. We can peaceably protest, which even protest is one of the baser means. Had people truly believed in their cause and not set back, as we do so passively, and disengage themselves, eruptions of protest would be unnecessary. So.
Excellent, excellent.